Welcome, welcome, welcome. You know what it means when you hear that music. It's time for another episode of the Passionpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Ryan C. Greene, excited again for another week to be with you here on the show. This is the show where we teach you how to get paid for what you know by building passion-driven revenue streams. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast provider. Make sure that you go ahead and leave a comment, leave a 5-star review for us. It is your help and your support that's going to help grow the show and help other people get the information that we share. So I'm excited about sharing with you today, and definitely excited about today's guest. Thank you for your support. We are all over the place now. We're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. Anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, you should be able to find this show. Google Podcasts as well. So make sure that you go ahead and do that. Support the Passionpreneur Podcast each and every week. So thank you so much. Before we get into today's show, because we do have an exciting show for you today, I want to make sure that you know that we still have time to enroll. You still have time to enroll for the 6-figure author mastery book marketing and writing workshop. So before we get into our interview, let me share a little bit of information with you about that upcoming event. Will this finally be the year that you write your book? Hi, I'm Ryan C. Greene, and as an author coach, I get asked the same 2 questions all the time. Question 1 is, how do I write my book? And question 2 is, how do I sell more books? And at the 6-figure author mastery masterclass, we're going to teach you how to do both. This upcoming class, we're going to teach you on day 1 everything you need to know about how to write your book in 3 days, so that you can finally get off the couch and get your book done this year. No more excuses. I'm going to show you my proven system on how to get your book done within 3 days so that you finally can get your book published. And then on day 2, we're talking all about how to sell more books, how to go out there and maximize the revenue from your book. So if you've not written your book yet and you want to finally learn how to write your book, this is for you. If you've written a book already and you need to know how to sell more books, this is for you as well. So you can go now and register. Space is limited. We're only taking 12 people per master class. The next upcoming class is open for registration right now at www.sfamasterclass.com. That's S as in 6, F as in figure, A as in author, masterclass.com. Go ahead and save your seat right now. www.sfamasterclass.com. I look forward to helping you turn your $20 book into a 6-figure revenue stream. And welcome back. So make sure you go ahead and take advantage of that. We definitely are excited about that opportunity. So let's jump right into this week's show. Each week I try to bring you guests that have great content, but great value, and they can bring to your life no matter where you are. So, we could be all over the place with, 1 week we could talking about building a business. Next week we're talking about, playing. We just have so many different topics we can cover, all under becoming a passionpreneur, because that's what becoming a passionpreneur is all about. Finding what you're passionate about and turning that into a revenue stream. So I want to go ahead and bring on our guest. I'm excited about this young lady. When I met her at a recent event that we did together, she tore down the house, and I'm going to introduce her the way she I don't know, not the way she introduces herself, but I'm going to introduce her with her words. So I'm going to welcome to the show Miss Felicia Kelly with a big hey now.
Hey now.
How are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on here. We're excited. Felicia, I was sharing with the audience, when we were at that event together, the Fearless Experience. We spoke on the same stage. Our tables were next to each other, and your energy, your message was so empowering and so timely that I wanted to make sure we can get you on the show and share with our listeners just a little bit about you and what it is that you do in your mission. So thank you for joining us. I want you to go ahead, take the time to introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them who you are and what it is that you specialize in.
Well, thank you so much. As Ryan has already stated, my name is Felicia Kelly, and my primary goal is to help people build wealth the way they want to build it. I typically help high-level, high-performing entrepreneurs to streamline their business, make more money in less time, And the number one thing I love to help them do is to take their money and use it to build their lifestyle. You know, Ryan, I see so many people that work. They want to grind. They want to hit the 6-figure goal, then the $500,000 goal, then the 7-figure goal. But all that time, their lifestyle is suffering. You know, they make all the money, but they don't have anybody to spend it with. So I spend my time helping them to really create the lifestyle that they want and that really they deserve.
Sounds awesome. Sounds exciting. So how did you find yourself in this space? How did you end up, finding this niche and being able to help people how you do?
You know, I think God has a great sense of humor. You know, I went through a lot growing up and watching both ends of the spectrum. I had some family that was very wealthy, doing very well. I had some family that was just at the bottom of the barrel, like turned off every month, that type of deal. So as I grew up, I had this tug of war growing up in the church of whether or not I was supposed to have money or if I shouldn't, if I was supposed to live super frugal or if I was supposed to really spend money. I really didn't have a clear understanding of which path to take. So as I found myself graduating at the top of my class, going to college, and then needing a job to continue to pay for college, I was faced with one of two things, you know, really not sleep at night and work and go to school, or take this job I was offered in the car business where I'm dating myself a little bit. The newspaper ad said make up to $80,000 a year. And so, you know, 19 years old, you know which route I took. I took the money.
Absolutely.
So as I built my career in the car business, being, you know, one of the few Black women that really stuck it out and built a career and worked my way up to corporate, I began to see so many high-performing people that just had a terrible lifestyle, you know, 12, 14, 16-hour days, plenty of money, but really no lifestyle at all. And so as I began to help people with those minor things, the budgeting and the credit building and just the scheduling, it really kind of built itself. And about 2015, my husband said, you might want to start charging people for this. And so I did. And here we are, you know, almost 4 years later. And it's really become where a lot of people seek me out, you know, those high performing women, those guys who are sleeping on the couch because they haven't seen their wife in 2 weeks and she's upset because he's working too much. And those people have continued to come to me because in addition to being a business owner and a speaker, I'm also a wife and I have 2 toddlers. And people see me balance that well, and that's something that they would like to do as well. So I really believe it chose me. You know, I think it was kind of a divine thing.
Wow. Awesome. So what if you had to tell us, what's the one thing that you see the most often where you find high performing people? Because I think that when we look at high performing professionals and entrepreneurs, you know, on the outside looking in, we always think they have it all together. And maybe there's someone listening now who they feel like they have to keep that facade up. They feel like they have it, you know, have to keep the world thinking that they have it all together. What is maybe the top 1 or 2 obstacles that you see people in that position face with that you have to help the most?
You know, the number one thing I would say is we have something we used to say in the car business that I experienced with these type of people is that you can't see the forest for the trees. You know, they're stuck in this mindset of work. I got to grind, and not realizing that, yeah, you work 60 hours a week in your business, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, but you're only getting about 25 hours worth of work done. I find with these people that they work a lot of hours, but their true productivity and their true income generating activity is very, very low. And when I get with them, I typically take a look at what they're outsourcing. And the second problem is they're typically solopreneurs, and you're not a jack of all trades. You're not a speaker and a CEO and a copywriter and a financial coach. And, you know, you're doing all the things in your business, you know, and with those people, once I sit down with them and I really map out what they're doing, they're typically wasting half of the time that they're working. That's literally the number one problem.
Wow. Now you mentioned the word solopreneur, and talk to us about, you actually talk about how being a solopreneur is the path to guaranteed failure. Now, you know, talk to us about that, because a lot of times when we're in business, we're starting out by ourselves, but you're saying that's the path to guaranteed failure. So break that down for us.
It is. And I love to start out with the bootstrapping, right? Because you got to start somewhere. Unless you had a trust fund sitting to the side, which not most of the people I know didn't. if you have to really get it out the mud, like we like to say, you're going to start off by yourself. You're going to start off being the graphic designer and the coach or the attorney and the paralegal and the person sending the emails and the receptionist. You got to start out that way because you got to create something. And we all have to take a path and a journey, and we all have to have a story to tell. But the problem becomes when we're 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years in, and we're still operating like it's our first day without proper operating procedures, without building a team, even if it's one by one. And typically, you're going to run into burnout just because there aren't enough hours in the day for you to be more than one person. And so as you're building and you build everything around you, but you build no solid infrastructure for you to continue to operate, you're going to fail. You have no choice but to fail because there are only so many things that you can do exceptionally. I'm only an expert within my expertise. I'm not the expert organizer. I'm not the expert email responder, but I have people for that. And so once we really grasp that solopreneurship is the way you start, but not how you build a true company, I think that's where the mindset shift can take us to that next level.
Awesome. Now, do you think that it is going to be different for everyone, or do you have maybe a preferred method that you think that the first thing you need to outsource would be this? If you could, recommend something, what would people who are listening think? I mean, that's because there's some people who've been in business for 3, 4, 5 years and are still doing it themselves. They think that if it's going to get done right, I got to do it.
Yes.
But is there something that you recommend they look to outsource first?
One thing that I ask my clients to take a look at are what makes the money. The first thing I want to know is what makes you money. If you're an attorney, for example, I work with a lot of attorneys. If you're an attorney and let's say, for example, you work one-on-one with clients, that's what makes you money. Consultations, going to events, being the face of the company, regardless of your occupation or your business, is going to be what makes you money. However, when you're the person that's inundated with emails, or you're inundated with Facebook posts, or you're inundated with logging or bookkeeping, those are things that you should not be doing. What the number one thing when people ask me, well, Felicia, what should I outsource first? What is taking you the most time and making you the least money? And that's your answer. So if you're a person, like personally, my background is finance. So keeping a spreadsheet, logging numbers, easy, piece of cake. I can do it in my sleep. Takes me very little time. That was something I waited to outsource versus someone who's not very versed in that area. If it takes you 3 days and someone else can do it in an hour and a half, you probably want to pay somebody for that. So that's why I typically tell people to start with one specific task that takes you a lot of time and makes you little to no money.
Awesome. And you have some keys that you talk about, keys to maximizing your income. So we want to know the secrets. I know when like I said, we talk to people about how to turn their passions into a revenue stream. So what are some secrets you may have to maximizing people's income?
The first thing that I look at when maximizing your income is knowing what you have. You'd be surprised at how many people don't truly know how much money they make. I asked somebody, well, how much money did you make last year? That's one of the first things that I assess in the first quarter when I'm working with first quarter clients. Well, how much revenue did you do in 2019? And they say, oh, well, I haven't quite got to that yet. So I'm like, we're midway of January or February or March, and you still don't know. And it's the same every year. I've seen it in 2017, 2018, 2019. I see it every year. The first thing is to know, what do you have? What are you working with? What are you spending? What are you not spending? Because the first thing that I like to tell people about maximizing their money, once they know what they have, are you doing things even in your household that take up so much time that it wears you out, yet you could pay someone for that? Maximizing your money goes hand in hand with maximizing your time. You see a lot of gurus that say, oh, just cut expenses, but you can't cut but so many. It's more so about streamlining. How can I streamline what I do? If I know that laundry takes me 4 hours on a Tuesday versus paying someone and dropping it off and picking it up, yeah, I might spend a couple $100, but what's it worth to get my time back? You see, because I can make more money, but once my time is spent, that's it. That's right. So I'm really big on outsourcing. My personal assistant, I utilize her. I'm big on ordering groceries. I just told an attorney last week, she said, well, I just have so much to do. And I had to make a list. And I said, well, why are you still ordering groceries? Oh, well, we need things, but you have a personal assistant. Why can't you just text her what you need? And she sit down and go through that. And so it's really making those wise decisions when it comes to maximizing our money and using it for things that's going to buy us time.
Awesome. That's powerful because, and I think what I'm hearing you say is, and I hope the listeners are getting this, is that we spend it's that time piece. I know when I first got started in business, and entrepreneurs I talk to deal with the same thing, is what you feel like, okay, I'm the boss now. What do I do? What do I do? And a lot of times you have people who are talented somewhere, and when they're talented and just that's all they're doing is the talent or the skill, it's one thing. But when you're out there now trying to build a business in it and trying to do the rest of the business stuff, that's where we get inundated with those tasks that you talk about. And sometimes that talent suffers because now we're stuck trying to do tasks that, like you said, we can give to someone else to do.
Right.
So that's really good, really good. Now,
and sometimes we lie to ourselves too.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about designing that dream life. You talk about how to use your business to design your dream life. So if I'm trying to design that dream life, how would I do that with my business?
The first thing we have to consider is what we want. A lot of people, and it goes back to lying to ourselves, right? That talent versus task. On this scale of lying to ourselves, we have to look at what we really want. A lot of us, initially, and I've been guilty. That's why I say us and we, because I don't teach anything that I haven't overcome. Right. When I really started looking at my life and what I wanted, I would tell myself things like, oh, Felicia, you don't really want to take, that many vacations. You don't really want that bag, or you don't really want that type of lifestyle. I would tell myself these things that I felt like were more acceptable around my peers, based on who my peers were at the time. And I had to really get honest with myself and say, Felicia, what do you really want? What do you want your day to look like when you open your eyes? And as I started to be truthful with myself about what I really, really, really wanted, I wanted to be able to wake up and do whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to say, hey, I'm not coming into the office today, handle X, Y, and Z, I want to be able to do that. I love to spoil my family. My family is some of the most supportive people. They are just phenomenal, from my husband and children to my parents and siblings. I want to be able to say, hey, you guys, what's today? Wednesday, Thursday? Be ready by Saturday. I'm going to send someone to come and get you. We're going on a weekend. We're going on a 3-day trip. I want to be able to do those types of things. So the very first step is to be completely honest about what I want. And once I decide what I want, I stop making decisions that don't align with that. So that had to take a look at my circle. Are these people that I'm going to call when I'm at this level? I have to start making decisions now based on where I'm going and not where I am currently. And when I started saying, oh, well, this person doesn't align with where I'm going, and they have no desire to. It's one thing to have people who have a desire for greatness, and there are some people who simply don't. And that's where you have to decide, how do I love this person? Everyone's cut off. That doesn't mean you have to cut them off, but there are so many conversations or certain conversations you may not be able to have with them. And that's totally okay. And so once you start making those decisions, and you may have to walk in some isolation for a little bit, and that's okay. I know in this technology and social media age, we don't like isolation, but isolation will force you to get honest with yourself, and it'll force you to do some assessing. And so once you start getting honest and saying, this is what I really want, does my career align with what I want? Does my business align with what I want? And we start chipping away at different things that don't align with what we're going. And it really is that simple. And as we build our business, we need to build a business of time freedom so we can actually spend the time doing the things we want. And I tell people all the time, I like to spend my time doing what life is meant for, and that's living. Mm-hmm. And so the only way to do that is to make sure that I charge appropriately to make the money that I need to make, to pay the people I need to pay, to have the systems I need to have, so that I can free myself up to go out and live.
Awesome stuff. Now you have a new book out, tell us about this book.
I do. My book, Proverbs Profit, 7 Keys to Building Kingdom Wealth. I'll tell you, my book, Brian, it makes a lot of religious folks mad, if I can just be very truthful. And it's because it speaks about the true desires of God for his people. If you grew up anything like me in extreme religion, you find that people speak exactly the opposite. And what I talk about in Proverbs and Profit is that money is mentioned in the Bible more than any other topic. Money is talked about more than sin. It's talked about more than love. It's talked about more than anything else. So why are people so afraid of it? And so I give people 7 key steps to really learning how to change their mind about money and learn how to use money to work for them and to continue to build wealth as they grow into that dream lifestyle.
Awesome. How can people get a copy of that?
They can simply go to FeliciaKelly.com, and when they go to my website, my book pops right up. You can't miss it.
Awesome. And you have an event coming up in April. We want to hear about that as well.
I do. Bank Statement Weekend. It's a 2-day incubator. It's in Chicago, April 24th and 25th. And I had one in Raleigh, and my inbox went crazy. They were like, Felicia, you have to do this again. You have to do this again. It's a 2-day incubator to really help you streamline your life and streamline your business, because they have to be in alignment. And you really have to build business in a way that's going to allow you, again, to live your life. So that's going to be in Chicago, April 24th and 25th. Tickets actually come out on the 31st of January. So by the time they're listening to this broadcast, tickets will likely be already released. I already have 10 people that have pretty much paid a deposit, and they're like, Felicia, of course, take my money. So we only have 20 seats left. I'd like an intimate event. We don't like to have an incubator with 100 people, because I really like to give my time and attention to make sure that people get what they need for their life and their business. And so if they go to FeliciaKelly.com, they can get those tickets right under the events tab.
Awesome. Felicia, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm definitely going to be in touch with you again, hopefully doing some things together as well in the future. I want you to go ahead and give any final words and then also your contact information to our listeners so they can follow you as well.
Absolutely. Listen, one thing I always like to leave an audience with is that money is not the root of your issue, it's the fruit of your issue. Take a look at your life and everything surrounding it, and your money is going to align with how you live. As far as getting in contact with me, FeliciaKelly.com is my number one source where you can find out anything you need to know about me. In regards to social media, I'm on Facebook at Felicia Kelly International, where I often do live trainings, and I'm on Instagram at Being Felicia Kelly, and I actually have a free training that any of your listeners can get. It's a $297 training, but any of your listeners can go to FeliciaKelly.com, use the pop-up at the bottom right corner, and it's going to allow them to utilize that training for free.
All right. And that's Felicia, Felicia. All right. So
yes, Kelly is Kelly.
Gotcha. All right. I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And if you guys are listening, make sure you go ahead and take advantage of Felicia Kelly's resources. Tap into what she's doing. Follow her. Get her book. Go ahead and let's start living this life at a higher level. And go ahead and what she said, do what life is meant to be done. Live it. All right. So I'm Ryan.
Absolutely. That's why I appreciate you for having me, Ryan.
No problem. Thank you so much. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Passionpreneur Podcast. If you liked it, tell someone else about it. Go ahead and share it out. And also make sure you click that subscribe button and follow us and listen to every week's episode. I am your host, Ryan C. Greene. You can reach me at www.ryancgreene.com. Follow me on all social media at Raji Speaks. I look forward to working with you, talking to you soon. And just remember, if the best part about going to work is getting off of work, it's time to become a passionpreneur.